That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Maybe we can move with the demonstration or demo. Thanks, Suman, for your quick introduction. So, uh, can you go to PPT, Subbu? Yeah, thanks. Can you go to the next slide? Thank you. So, just as a courtesy of what is Ariba and how Ariba got started and what is the current state of Ariba. This is courtesy of any training program. Like when we are talking about some person, right? We should talk about the person's background. So similarly, we are talking about the what is the background of Ariba. So when it got started, what is the current state of the Ariba? Okay, so Ariba, you can see in the slide, it got started in the 1996, which is got independently got developed as a procurement tool, and then after emerging into a lot of revisions, it had become more strong tool, and it had become more supplier and buyer friendly. And then now it became the web when the SAP has acquired, it became the SAP Ariba, and I think in the 2010, SAP has completely acquired Ariba, and now we are calling this as SAP Ariba. And now Ariba is on cloud. It's a cloud-based tool, procurement tool. Okay, and we have the on-premise still is going on, but not Ariba. SAP Ariba is not, encouraging the companies to buy on-premise tool because a lot of maintenance is involved, upgradations, and a lot of issues are there. So many people are taking the cloud versions only. Okay, so can you go to the next slide? Next slide, please. Hello. It's not there. So can we go to next slide? Sorry, actually today I have some power problem issue. That's why I couldn't connect with my laptop and then taking help from Subbu. Just join through my mobile. Just bear with me if any inconvenience is there. Yeah. So this is how a cloud things works. What is the advantages of the cloud? So when we are on the cloud, so cloud means we are not having any physical servers in our local internet or intranet. So it will be completely maintained by SAP, and we have this cloud system. And whenever is cloud means anybody can operate from anywhere. Okay, so you can see like how the ERP systems and suppliers are connected when it's a cloud. This is just illustration, and we can see uh, what are the cloud options. So everyone knows what is the advantages of using the cloud technology nowadays. Okay, so similarly in the Ariba side also we are having the cloud technology. So everything is maintained by SAP Ariba. So we in the cloud means we will be having two kinds of accounts, one test account and as well as another is the production account we get. Okay, similarly on the Ariba side also we would be getting one test account and as well as one the production account. Test account we typically call it as quality account also. Okay, so where we do our actual configurations and testings, we will do it in our test site, and then in the production side, the actual production is going on. Okay, so as you said, like I'm assuming that everyone is having the SAP MM background or they are from the procurement background. So that's why I'm just explaining in such a way so that everyone is know what is the cloud and what is the procurement solution. Okay, can we move on to next slide? Okay, so this is what the Ariba solutions portfolio or overall what is the Ariba capabilities, what are the things that is there. So when we are talking about Ariba, there are three important things we should talk. The first one is the Ariba spend management portal. We typically call it as the operational portal where we create all our transactions from the buyer side. And the second one is the SAP Ariba network. That is again, we are discussing in this session only what is Ariba network. So what is the use of the Ariba network? So, and the third one is the integration. So if you are having any integration with your ERP tools, so what kind of integrations that we are going to see? So what are the integration tools that is there in the Ariba? Okay, these are the three important things we should know and we should always have hands on. Okay. So what is Ariba Spend Portal? Ariba Spend Portal means where actually the buyers or the users of our company or the users of the corporate would log in and they will create the transactions like sourcing events. We typically call it our RFQs, right? Request for quotations in our SAP terminology. The same thing where we can create our RFQs and where we can create our contracts, where we can execute and create our contracts, and where we can, you know, create our requisitions, where we can create our purchase orders, where we can approve all these things. We call it in the spend management system. That is one portal. And after that, we have the Ariba network portal. So SAP Ariba network portal is again it is a distribution system, we typically call it as. So whatever the things or the documents or the transactions coming into the buyer system and flowing into supplier system, that all will be exchanged via the Supplier Ariba network. So after Supplier Ariba network is the central gateway system, we can say, and the buyers and suppliers will be connected to the Ariba network, and as well as what are the documents that is going out of your Ariba spend management. Suppose you have created a purchase order, that purchase order should be sent to supplier. How it will be sent to supplier means it reaches to Ariba network, and then from there the supplier can access the purchase order. Okay, so that is the supplier network. So this is strong base, and we will be seeing a separate session in our course. We will be having at least one or two sessions on the Ariba network. From the buyer side, what are the configurations we are supposed to see, and supplier side we don't need to configure anything, but from the supplier point of view, how we would be seeing the purchase orders, how we can create the invoices, how we can accept the purchase orders, how we can send these confirmations. All these things we would be seeing in the Ariba network. As part of the process flows, we are seeing all those things. So in previous, like I think before 2018 and 19, we used to have this upstream and downstream processes. Now we are not calling it as upstream and downstream process, but still people are calling it as the upstream process and downstream process. Here you can see in the Ariba side in the slide, I have highlighted what are the upstream processes and what are the downstream processes. So we would be seeing like what do you mean by upstream and why these are classified as upstream and downstream. In the upstream side, if you see, there are two modules we can see. The first one is the supplier management and the strategic sourcing. In the supplier management, again, two submodules would be coming. The one is the Ariba supplier performance, lifecycle and performance, and the second one is the Ariba supplier risk management. In the coming slides, we will be seeing like what is the supplier lifecycle and performance, what we would be doing in the supplier lifecycle and performance, and in the supplier risk also, what are the features that is there in Ariba, and what we will be configuring, what is the advantage of supplier risk, that we will be seeing in the coming slides. Okay, and coming to the strategic sourcing, this is the majority of the customers would go for this strategic sourcing. You might be seeing your RFQ process in SAP side, right? How we are, you know, selecting our suppliers. Okay. So in this strategic sourcing, we have these three submodules. The one is the Ariba sourcing, and the second one is the contract management, and third one is the Ariba spend analytics. In the Ariba sourcing, again, we would be clearly discussing in this session only what is the Ariba sourcing, what is contract management, and what is Ariba spend analytics. So just to make you understand what are the upstream capable, what are the things there in the upstream. Okay, and when you come to the downstream is more into the operational side. Okay, so you can see your procurement and financial supply chain. So procurement in the sense your core P2P process, your requisition, purchase order, and your goods receipt, and then your invoicing. Okay, this is our P2P solution. So the P2P operations, we call it as the downstream processes or downstream modules. So coming to downstream side, we will be having the supplier Ariba guided buying. Okay, so what is the guided buying we will be seeing, and we are calling typically now in the downstream process, we are calling it as Ariba buying and invoice. We are now in nowadays we are calling it as B&I. Okay, and then we have the commerce automation. We will be discussing what is the commerce automation, and thirdly we have supporting for direct procurement, supply chain collaboration. Okay, so this is to understand what is the Ariba high level architecture and what are the different modules that is providing. So how we are classifying the modules. If anyone has any doubt, they can ask at this point of time. Any
Yeah,
doubts? Are you able to follow me?
yeah. This supply chain. Uh, Nowadays, you are saying that there is no upstream and downstream. But the supply chain. Just could you please tell me the supply
No,
chain
no,
part?
actually, we are not saying, we are not calling it as upstream and downstream. Still, it is there. The processes are there as upstream and downstream. So in the
Okay.
traditional way, we used to call when Ariba has started, right? They have divided the modules into upstream and downstream. Okay, now we are not calling it as upstream and downstream, but people are still following it as upstream process and downstream processes. Okay,
Okay.
okay.
And the
Supply chain
supply chain.
collaboration is supply chain collaboration is a new feature that is introduced into the Ariba side. Okay, we will be discussing what is the supply chain. So, what is the advantages of supply chain? What is the features of the supply chain collaboration? Okay, in the same session only we will be discussing. Okay,
Yeah. Thank
yeah. Can we go to the next slide? Okay. So in a typical in regular procurement processes, what are the different steps involved? I think who has the SAP materials management background or who knows the P2P process, they would be more aware of what is the procurement process and what are the different steps involved in the procurement process. Okay, so I just want to give you the synopsis, because when we are talking about the procurement solution, we have to touch base on the what is the procurement process, what are the different steps involved in the procurement process, and what is the P2P process. Okay, so we know, like, first of all, to start a procurement process, there should be the need, there should be a requirement. So that is your first step. So what is the need? Okay, suppose there is a new product is going to come, or when there is no stock in our warehouses, or the the current license is expiring and we need to go for a new software license. So what is the need for the procurement? First, in the first step, we will determine the need. The customers would determine the need, and then once the need is determined, then we have to select the supplier. So when the supplier is there, then we will follow our operational process. When a supplier is there, suppose a contract is already there, or a supplier is already there for a particular material procurement, then we will simply create the purchase order for that material on that supplier. So this becomes your operational process. Suppose if the supplier is not there, then we have to look for the potential suppliers, and then how we are going to find the supplier, how we are going to select a supplier. So typically what we will do, we will call it as a request for quotation. That means this is a requirement, and we will send across the suppliers in the market who can supply the goods. Suppose if I want to buy a laptop, then I would be taking the quotations from different vendors like IHP, Lenovo, and Asus, like different vendors is there, right? Okay, I will talk to them and I will get the quotations, and then I will evaluate based on my budget and based on my requirement classification and all. Okay, so this typically we call it as request for quotation. So once your request for quotation is done, then if you want to go with the supplier, then we will discuss and negotiate with the supplier. How we are going to negotiate with the supplier means we can go with a long-term contract, or we might be going with a 1 year or 2 years contract with that supplier. Okay. So when we are talking, when there's a contract, so contract means it will be having a lot of obligations, contracts, agreements, and all these things would be there, right? So We need to document all these things, and supplier also should agree on those what are the terms we have created, and supplier should sign that document. So all these things will come under this contract process. So we would be seeing what is a contract life management. So in that slide we would be seeing. So typically the strategic things we are calling it as upstream process. Now you would be clearly understand what are the upstream processes and why we are calling it as upstream. So upstream will not be into the more of operational process, into the day-to-day activities. Okay, upstream is like more into strategic thing. Okay, where we are finding the solution, or where we are finding a service supplier for that solution, and then we are creating a contract. What are the contract, in the contract how we are making the obligation, terms, clauses, all these things will come under this contract creation. So these two process would come into fit into the upstream process. So once we are done with the supplier selection and contract creation, then so based on a requirement, suppose let us say I'm giving a simple kitchen example. Okay, so we want to buy rice for every month consumption, right? Okay, so every month consumption, I need not to go and buy every month. So I need to find a supplier, I need to find a ration shop, and then from there I need to buy the each every time 25 kg rice bag. Instead, what I will do, right? I can make contract with that rice shop. See, I have every month 125 kg of rice bag, and I would like to buy from your shop for the next one year. That means I am giving a 12 months business to that supplier, and supplier will think of, yes, I am getting a 12-month business from this particular customer. So then they will negotiate. Suppose he is selling for this 15,000 in the retail, 1,500 rupees 25 kg rice bag in a retail way. So he would say like, yeah, you can go with 1350 rupees. If every month if you are buying from me, then I can give you at the price of 1350, so that he is acquiring a business for the next 1 year, and as well as the customer is also getting the benefit. So this is the benefit of the contract. So every month what we'll do, simply we will send one of our kid, or we will send one of our representation from our home, and then he will just simply bring that back, and later we will pay 1350 to him. So this is what the operational process. So whenever the requirement comes, so we will raise the requirement on that particular vendor, and then we raise the order. We will get the materials into our stock. Okay, this is what the typical P2P process. Once the items are delivered, materials are delivered, what we will do, we will just
Ashok, we lost your voice.
is it fine now? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Hello? I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We lost your voice.
Let me just rejoin 1 second.
Hello, it is same with or same with others or only for me? Hello, Subbu? Hello, Subbu? Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I think there is a internet issue. Okay, can you just go to the previous slide? Sorry. Hello. Audible now?
Yes,
Yeah,
you're
sure.
audible.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Can you go to the previous slide once? I just want to finish on that. Previous slide. Okay. Can you just go back? Go back. Yeah. Just the next slide. Next slide. No, you are going back. You need to come down arrow. Press down arrow. I think you are going back. You need to come from. Yeah. Okay. Not this one. Not this one. You are going. Go to the slide number 6 or 7. Next slide.
Next.
Next slide. Yeah. Okay. So this is what the typical P2P process. So everyone is aware of this P2P process, right? The same process we will see in the Ariba side. Okay. How these things would be configured, how these things, what is the P2P process cycles and all. So we would be teaching in our discussing clearly into our sessions, like how the upstream modules, what are the configurations we need to make, what is the end business users, how they are going to create the flows and create the documents, what are the transactions they would make. So that we would be seeing clearly in our course. Okay, go to the next slide.
One more question, my side.
Yeah, please.
Which model you start? That's upstream or downstream?
No, we will teach the complete course, upstream and downstream, including integration.
No. I know that all this course content, but which part you start? That means it's a start to sourcing. Start in
Yeah,
SLP and sourcing
start with
step.
no no we'll start with sourcing.
Okay.
Okay, we will start with
Then
sourcing. So I will keep telling how I would be teaching, what is the sequence of modules that I would be teaching. Okay.
okay. Then you teaching also integration part. How to integrated all the data and how to came
Correct.
to in S4 HANA and EC system in backend system. I
Yes,
think
yes,
all
yes,
this.
yes. We have the separate slide for the integration. So in that area, in that slide, when that slide comes, I would be explaining you what I would be discussing during the integration point.
One more thing is, can you teach CI 9 to CAG in configure in how to migrate
Yes,
concept?
yes, yes. Yeah, sure. So once we come to the integration slide, right, then we can discuss there. Sorry, your name is it?
Bhaskar. Actually, that
Yeah,
time my voice is not audible. I'm not
no problem.
giving the introduction. Okay.
Yeah, Bhaskar.
So that.
So what I would do is like I will just quickly walk you through this PP and then we can have the course oriented question. Okay. So what if
Okay.
you have any doubt related to course, so what you require specifically, then we can discuss on the course oriented at the end of this session. Okay, where when we come to that particular slide, then we can discuss those things. Okay, make sense?
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks,
Thank
thanks,
you.
thanks, thanks. Thank you. So, when coming to the procurement, right? So, we should know the difference between or what are the two major procurement types. In the SAP environment or any procurement environment, we have two kinds of this procurement: direct procurement and indirect procurement. So, what is a direct procurement and what is indirect procurement? Simply to make you understand, wherever the MRP, material requirement planning, is involved, those procurement of those materials we are calling it as direct procurement, simply which are directly involved into the manufacturing of the finished product, or which would, by selling those things, which would create the revenue, those kind of materials we call it the direct procurement or direct materials. What is indirect procurement? Indirect procurement basically comes as the services. Okay. And the things which would support to make your procurement process or any of your company process. Okay, so which are not directly involved in revenue creation. Suppose if I want office stationery, then these we call it as the indirect items. Suppose if I want roses, I call this as indirect materials. If I want some paintings, so these are all my indirect item, indirect materials. The procurement of indirect materials, we call it as the indirect procurement. Suppose if I want to buy a software, I want to buy a Java software for my company. The Java software procurement is indirect procurement, right? Because that is not creating revenue. Suppose if that is creating revenue, then we are calling it as the direct materials. Okay. Wherever the MRP is involved, we are calling those as direct materials. Suppose I am manufacturing motorbikes. So whatever the components that would go into the motorbike, suppose the wheels, okay, clutch wire, brake wire, all these components would be there, right? Screws and nuts. All these are MRP related, material requirement plan related. This we are calling it as a direct procurement. So whereas indirect procurement means the services, especially the services, and the second one is which would support my direct procurement. Suppose, as I said, right, I want some stationary items, that we call it as a direct procurement. Sorry, indirect procurement. Ariba is best suited for indirect procurement. So the one which we are dealing, right? So we would be doing any cloud-based procurement solutions. They majorly deal with indirect procurement. Okay, they create simple requisition, and the requisition gets approved, and then we create the purchase order. Okay, so how we can identify net procurement means it is based against the cost center. So while creating your purchase order, right, we give account assignment category as K or some account assignment category as D. Okay, so when an item is having account assignment category means that that is having a indirect procurement in nature. Okay, so indirect procurement basically Ariba, in the Ariba spend management, what are the procurement we do, right? That is indirect
Ashok
procurement.
again lost voice.
Is it audible now? I can hear you guys. Hello.
Bhaskar, same with you or only for me?
Can you hear me? Sure, I think I have the data clearly. I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ashok, you are very much audible.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Now we are able to.
Yeah, sorry. I think there is some data jump here. Last night we had a very huge rain here. I don't know. But anyway,
Ah, yeah, I think you asked the introduction time. That time also maybe the voice was we lost your voice. Sorry for that.
no problem. But anyways, so now you understand, right? What is the difference between the indirect procurement and direct procurement? Okay. So why I have classified the indirect procurement and direct procurement, why I have explained you is, so you will be getting in the next slides, you will be understanding, okay, why at the time of supply chain collaboration, right? So you would be knowing what is the why I have differentiated, specially made a slide for direct and indirect procurement processes and differentiation. Okay. Then we go to the next slide.
Yeah, I have one question. Like you told, indirect procurement basically in Ariba. So in downstream, when P2P process is there, so that time direct procurement mostly we work. So that is not comes under Ariba.
That is what I'm going to explain you when we go through the supply chain collaboration. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So we basically now in the current trend, how the Arriva is doing handling both direct procurement and indirect procurement is with integrated environment. I will be explaining you that. Okay, when we deal with the supply chain collaboration slide, okay, then you will be clearly knowing that. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
basically in the indirect procurement process, right, we create our requisition and then we create our purchase order and then we send that purchase order to supplier. Supplier will send the goods and then we create our invoice and all, right. So this is a typical P2P process. So the direct indirect procurement process, the requisition initiated in the Ariba system, okay, in the indirect process. For direct process, the requisition initiated with the MRP. That means when you run your MRP, the purchase requisition gets created and the purchase requisition converted into PO in your backend ERP system. It's an Oracle system or it's a SAP system. Okay, the requisition initiated in your SAP system for the direct procurement. Whereas for the indirect procurement, the requisition initiated in the Ariba system. Okay.
Okay. So after that, it connect with Ariba. Means when requisition initiated for MRP, when requisition initiate with SP or ERP system, any ERP, then it connect with Ariba.
Yes, no, that I would be telling you different scenarios, how the business is required, what kind of scenario, and what is the best practice and what is the best methodology we have to follow. That I would be telling. So ideally, where the requisition is created, and there itself the order should be created. Because if any changes happens to the purchase requisition, each and every time we need to export that, or something happens to the order again, the requisition needs to be opened back. So when we go with the integrated environment, right? So this becomes more problematic while the business is using, because the requisition is happening in one system and the ordering is happening in other system. That creates a problem. Okay, so that's why in order to meet this risk, or in order to mitigate this risk, or in order to meet this need, what SAP has done is, like, where the requisition is created, there it's the approval is happening, and there itself the ordering is also happening, but the order will be communicated to supplier via the Ariba environment, right? So that is why they have introduced the Ariba supply chain collaboration. Okay, so when we see the clear business processes, then we can understand it clearly. Okay, so this is the Ariba integrated architecture on the high level. You can see in the cloud symbol, right, we are seeing like Ariba buying and Ariba discovering and Ariba supply chain collaboration. So all these things will be there in Ariba, and then you can see all the things are integrated with the Ariba network, where you can see Ariba network. So Ariba network, that will be sent through the CAG, which we will be seeing in a separate site, Cloud Integration Gateway. This is the integration point, and then through Cloud Integration Gateway, we will be reaching back to our ERP system. Okay, and the suppliers also connected, and they will be receiving all the documents through the Ariba network. So this is the high level integrated architecture. Okay, so just to make you understand clear how Ariba works. Okay, um, next slide please. Okay, so now we're talking about the Ariba upstream models, like in the Ariba sourcing. So what is Ariba sourcing? In the training, we will be clearly discussing what is the complete Ariba sourcing. Okay, so when to what is the capabilities of complete Ariba sourcing. Okay, so what are the things that we would be discussing in the Ariba sourcing? How to create a sourcing project? What do you mean by sourcing request? Okay, and how the sourcing process is integrated with your RFQ of the SAP system, backend system for the direct procurement. Okay, and in the sourcing, we have these key terms like what are the sourcing projects and what do you mean by sourcing events, what is a request for information, what is request for proposal, what is auctions, how to conduct these events, and what are the settings we are supposed to do for these events, and when the what kind of business requirements and what kind of settings we are supposed to do to meet those requirements. And once we create the Ariba sourcing project, how do we monitor that, how we are opening the bidding, how we can stop it, how we can pause it, how we can ranking it, how we can monitor it. And once the sourcing event is completed, then we will go for awarding. Awarding means finalizing the supplier. So what are the different scenarios in awarding, how we can finalize the supplier? Okay, what are the approvals while we finalize the suppliers? So this is a typical sourcing process, how to create the sourcing events, how to monitor the events, and how to create your awarding, how to finalize your suppliers. Okay, and then the integrated environment, once the award is done, so what you need to, whether you want to create a
Award,
contract or, sorry,
award is ABC, that sort of thing.
ABC.
Awarding when vendors into categories, that is called awarding.
Yeah,
Okay.
award scenario and awarding the supplier, like how we can create the awarding scenarios, those and all we will discuss in the course. What do you mean award scenario? Okay, what actually in the process side, what we do, what we are doing that. Okay, what sort of configurations is required to for the Ariba sourcing. When we talk about the upstream, right? So all the upstreams are driven by templates. Okay, we will be clearly discussing what is a template, how we manage the templates, what are the different parts involved in the templates. Okay, how to manage a template, how to publish a template, what is the advantage of the templates, how to control the templates on the user perspective. All these things we will be seeing in the course. So template management is a separate topic we have, and in the upstream, all the upstream modules are driven through the templates. We will be having the templates. So in the templates, what are the different points are there in the templates? Okay, what is the team? What do you mean by tasks? What do you mean by phases? All these things we are seeing in the templates clearly in the template configuration. Okay, so this is about the Ariba sourcing. So when you want to find a supplier in the market, or when you want to uh, find a new supplier for a product, or when you want to find a competitive supplier in the market, so all these things, this is kind of a typical RFQ process in our SAP environment, right? We create, once the requirement is there, then we float the RFQs, right? Request for quotations, and then we maintain the quotations manually, and then we take the comparative statement, and then we finalize the supplier, right? But here everything happens in the digital mode. That means we need not to manage or maintain the quotations. When in the typical SAP environment, what we will do, we will take the RFQs printout, and then we will send our email to the suppliers, and we receive the quotations from suppliers, and we will maintain those things in our system, and then we generate the comparative statement. But whereas in Ariba, what we do, everything happens digitally. That means through the automation mode. So when you create the sourcing event, when you invite the supplier, suppliers would receive that, and then they will enter into the event, and they will see the events, and they will enter what are the prices. So that automatically reflects into our system. So here you need not to maintain. Supplier will enter the price, and you can also see what are the suppliers, like how many suppliers have responded to your bid and how many suppliers have not responded to your bid. And you can set the reminders as well. So automatically the system generates the reminder emails to the suppliers, and they can enter the bids. So this is the, like, more in a digital way, right? So that is very easy. Okay, so that is the complete cycle we will be seeing, and we will be seeing the complete configurations for the Ariba sourcing. Next slide, please. Okay, and then as part of the Ariba strategic sourcing, we have the Ariba contracts module. So what do you mean by a contract? What are the different types of contracts provided by Ariba, and what are the different fields and different terminologies involved in the contract? Okay, I am showing here the typical contract life cycle. If you take any process, any business process, this is the contract life cycle. How a contract, what is the contract request? Okay, once the contract request is created and approved, how we are going to order and create the contract, how we are negotiating with the suppliers. Once the contract is finalized, how it is getting signed. So we have in Ariba digital signatures. Okay, in nowadays, once you get any offer, right, you will be doing the digital signatures. Okay, how to do the digital signatures, or how to do your wet signatures. Okay, how you are managing all the documents in a contract workspace. So what is the contract module advantage of Ariba when compared to other competitors like SAP other Oracle contracts, or other different contracting competitors. So what is the advantage of contract? So we have a single hub where you can manage all your contract documents, all your contract activities, all your contract process. And after the contract, maintenance in the sense how to renewal the contract, how to amend a contract, how to terminate a contract. So all these things will come into picture. So we will be discussing the contracts. Here I have highlighted one thing called contract compliance. Okay, that I will be discussing in the coming slides. What is the mean by contract compliance? What is the advantage of contract compliance? So what is the benefit of the contract compliance? Okay, go to the next slide. Okay, so next one is Ariba SLP. We are calling it a supplier lifecycle performance. As I told, it comes with two things. One is the supplier lifecycle and performance, and the other one is the supplier risk. So how we were onboarding a supplier. So if anybody is coming from supplier relationship management, they would be understanding the supplier qualification, supplier request. Okay, suppose if a supplier wants to do a business with us, how we can reach us. Okay, Otherwise, if internally, if we want to recommend a supplier, or how we can do that. Okay, so this is all everything in an automation mode. So previously what we do is we collect the suppliers, all the documents, and then we manage or enter into our system, and then we maintain all these documents. But now we just send a link to the supplier, and supplier would fill all this information. So that would be more easy. And once the supplier is done, then how we are sending that supplier back to our ERP system, and how the supplier record is created. So all these things we'll be seeing in the supplier lifecycle performance. So what is mean by supplier request? What is mean by supplier registration? What do you mean by supplier qualification? Okay, how we are delimiting or dequalifying a supplier, how you are terminating the supplier, all these things will be coming under the supplier lifecycle performance. Okay, and supplier risk means this is again another module, but majority of the people they are using some other third party supplier risk processes, but Ariba still providing the supplier risk. What do you mean by supplier? How we are assessing a supplier? Okay, suppose today in India, let us say there are some gaming companies, right? Okay, if anybody is from China supplier, then there is a risk. If you are doing a business with China supplier, then you need to follow some other import and export rules. So that comes under risk, supplier risk. So how you are managing this? Okay, so based on the country region, the risk may be coming. So what do you mean by inherent risk? What do you mean by the anticipated risk? All these things we are theoretically discussing. Okay, and then we will see how the risk templates will be configured, how the supplier registration templates, qualification templates can be configured. As I said, right, all the upstream modules will be driven through the templates. Okay, next slide. Okay. And Ariba Spend Analytics. It is kind of a business intelligence tool, like a core reporting tool. Okay. So you can pull the data from different sources other than Ariba, and then you can create your own dashboards, and then you can um, see what the spend analytics. Suppose how many purchase orders are being sent on this a particular vendor, or how many invoices are made, how many invoice missings are there. Okay, how many timely deliveries are missing. All these things we can see in the Ariba spend analytics. It is like a kind of BI, like SAP BI, right? Similarly, Ariba spend analytics also another kind of tool. How you can bring different data sources, and how you can model your data, and how you can generate your reports, like your analytical reports. Okay, this is the Ariba spend analytics. So we'll be seeing high level of because this is the not a very strong tool on the Ariba perspective, but they have provided as part of their solution. Majority of the people using the like Tableau or other third party tools like SAP BI other than Ariba, and they are using. But we will be seeing on the high level point of view what is the data chains, how the data models, okay, how the data can be pulled into the systems, and how you can do your ETL things, extraction, transformations, and loading, how the data cleansing can happen. Okay, all these things we are theoretically we would be discussing in our sessions. Okay, yeah, go to the next slide. So till now we have discussed all about the upstream modules like sourcing, contract, supplier performance management, supplier risk, and the analytics. So we will be discussing end-to-end process of all the upstream modules except the supplier risk and analytics. Okay, and qualify for the supplier sourcing and contracts. We will do deal with the end-to-end processes, and we will show, we will configure. So completely that will be covered in our course content. Okay, and coming to the buying in invoice, this is we are calling as our downstream, right? In the downstream, we will be seeing what is Ariba buying and invoice, how we can create the requisitions. Okay, what are the different kind of requisitions? What is a catalog requisition? What is a non-catalog requisitions? Okay, and then we will be seeing another module called guided buying. What is the use of guided buying? What is the advantage of guided buying? What are the different things are there in the guided buying? How we are configuring the landing page, how we are seeing how the catalogs can be connected to guided buying. All these things we would be discussing in the guided buying module. Okay, and then we will be seeing what are the catalogs. What do you mean by hosted catalog? What do you mean by punch out catalog? What do you mean by static catalogs and dynamic catalogs? All these things we will be discussing it. Okay, and here what do you mean by catalog subscription also we will be seeing. So when discussing with the contract module, I have mentioned, right, there is something called contract compliance. Okay, Suppose if a contract is created in the upstream, how it will be flowing to the downstream? How a user in the downstream can do a purchase against that contract? So to meet that
Yeah,
requirement,
we'll ask.
Ariba has,
Sure.
sorry, yeah, please. Someone has question. Hello,
Sorry, we are not able to hear. Same with others.
can you hear me? I think Bhaskar, you have some
No,
issue.
sir, we cannot hear.
Others can you just say yes or no by unmuting yourself, whether you can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, hear you.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Hear you.
So
Carry on. Carry on. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So this is what we would be discussing in the Ariba buying and invoice module, the complete cycle. What is the approval flows? How to configure the approval flows? So all these things we will be seeing. Okay, and then invoicing. So how the invoice document can be created when the supplier, how the supplier can create the invoice document, how we can configure the approval process on the invoicing, what are the exceptions involved in the invoicing. Suppose uh, the supplier had sent 10 quantity and he might have billed for 15 quantity, then how the system will automatically raise this exception handlings, okay, on the quantity or on the price, okay, or on the receiving. Suppose you have received 5 quantity and then the supplier have done a invoicing for 7 quantity. So like that thing, we will be seeing all these things, and how once the invoice is approved, how it will be sent back to the backend system. Okay, in the integration point we would be seeing, okay, as a transaction document, how the invoice is going back. Okay, these are all things we will be discussing in our buying and invoice modules. Okay, go to the next slide. Okay, so this is the complete STP framework. So to make you understand how the documents would be flowing in Ariba environment. Suppose in the upstream side, how it is going, what are the documents would be there. So you can see the sourcing and you can see the contracts. And here there is a down arrow mentioning here, right, from legal to here. So that is what your contract terms document or your contract compliance module. Suppose if a contract is published in the upstream, that you can send, make it as operational contract where the uh, requisitioners can create the shopping carts or request or requisitions purchase against those contracts. By selecting the contracts, we can create a catalog also for the contract, so that whenever a requester wants to do any purchasing activity on that particular material, he can search for the contracts and he can create a requisition against that contract. So this is the contract complaints. What is the feature is like, this is the advantage of contract complaints. And then the P2P side, we can see how the requisition is created, how it gets approved, how it gets converted into a order. Once the purchase order is created, how it can be sent back to the ERP system, whether it is SAP system or Oracle system. We are again discussing in integration points. Okay, how the documents, what are the purchase order can be sent back to the ERP system. Okay, and how we are receiving and how we are confirming it and how we are doing the invoicing. So this is the complete S2P framework, your source to pay framework. Okay, so we'll be clearly discussing and going through the cycles of this one in our course. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Can you go to next slide? Yeah, yeah, thank you. So this is again the architecture. So here I just want to illustrate or show like what are the different documents that can be integrated. Okay, your purchase order or your RFQ, award the details, sending to backend system. In the sourcing side, what are the integrations? In the contract side, what are the documents that can be integrated to your backend system? And in the buying and invoice side, what are the documents that can be sent to your backend systems? All these things you can see, and we will be clearly discussing in our course completely. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide. I think there is a lag, it seems. Yeah. So till now, any doubts or any questions you have on the upstream and downstream side? Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. So this is the new feature, what we are calling it as, right? So to support the direct procurement, as I said, right, in that procurement, we start creation the requisitions in the Ariba system, in the buying and invoice side, okay? And then we create a catalog based, or we create a contract based, or we create a non-catalog based purchase requisitions for the buying and invoice side. These are all mostly in that procurement, the Ariba initiated requisitions. But whereas the MRP initiated requisitions, the MRP creates a purchase requisitions in the Ariba backend ERP system, and then we create our purchase order. Okay, so you might be seeing there are different processes like your consignment purchase order and your subcontracting purchase order. All these things we cannot create in the Ariba buying and invoicing side. Those things are created in the Ariba ERP system only, like sorry, SAP ERP system, like ECC system or S4 system only, in the core SAP system. But how the suppliers can transact on those things? Okay, so once the purchase order is created, we can send the purchase order to the supplier through Ariba network using this Ariba supply chain collaboration module. So here you can see the different modules. So planning collaboration we have, inventory collaboration we have, and purchase order collaboration we have, quality collaboration we have. So all these collaborations we can see, and how the suppliers and buyers can communicate each other on these documents. Okay, suppose a subcontracting purchase order is created. So once the raw components are sent to the supplier, how the supplier can confirm that he had received the raw components, how we can send the proof of deliveries. So all these things we would be seeing in the supply chain collaboration. So Ariba supply chain collaboration is very strong module now. It is most of the customers are going for it. Unless you have strong SAP background, we cannot teach the Ariba supply chain collaboration, but we will be showing the process flows of Ariba supply chain collaboration. Okay, what are the documents that can be collaborated and how the collaboration is taking place, that we would be showing. Theoretically, we would be discussing and showing the process flows of the Ariba supply chain collaboration. Okay, so it involves a lot of integration with the S4 system, and there we would be explaining you what kind of integrations are required, all those things in the Ariba supply chain collaboration module. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah. So this is the Ariba integration architecture. So how the Ariba is integrated. So Ariba upstream, downstream are native integrated. We need not to do any integration. So whatever the upstream is there, whatever downstream is there, automatically those are Ariba has given the complete integration. We need not to do anything. But if you want to integrate your Ariba system to SAP system or non-SAP systems, how we would be doing that integration? What are the best practices is there? Okay, how CIG, Cloud Integration Gateway, would help you. So how without Cloud Integration Gateway, what are the different other integration methodologies we have? So how the integration would be done, whether it is a XML, CXML document, or whether it is a web services, or whether it is IDOC services, how the integration, so what kind of documents, how that would be communicated, we would be clearly discussing in the integration sessions. Okay, so what are the different things, how we can connect the Ariba network with the SAP system and non-SAP systems. So if you are going with non-SAP systems, what kind of middlewares are required? So all these things we'll be discussing clearly in the integration thing. So here I have mentioned you the documents also. So if you see the blue color boxes, what is the contracts, purchase info record? Okay, all these things we can see. Okay, and then the buying and invoice side, what are the different documents, PO, GR, and invoice service entry sheets we can see here.
Yes,
Okay,
sir. Again,
then
we
the,
lost.
can you hear me now?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
We lost you,
I
sir.
can. Is this only for him or any other can hear me?
No, we are not able to hear.
Yeah, my network is good.
Oh.
Just give me a minute. Me now?
Yes, sir. Now we can hear. Is
Yeah,
it
sorry for
problem
the.
on your side or your side? I'm not understanding you.
I don't know, but my network, I can hear you properly.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, fine. This
Okay.
is what is the Ariba integration gateway? What is the configurations that we need to do connect with the Ariba system and your SAP system? So all these things we would be discussing in the cloud integration gateway. Okay. So now somebody has raised a question like how we can migrate from CA9 to CIG. Okay. So what kind of changes would be required and what kind of things are required from the CA9 to CAG9. So CA9 to CAG9 is a technical upgrade. We are not calling it as a functional upgrade. Okay. So what we would be doing from a functional point of view, we once the technical upgradation is done, like developers are more involved in the CIG side, so they need to change a lot of the programs in the system and then they can migrate to the CIG. Okay. So CNN, we are using the CNN adapter now. Now we are moving to CIG. So we would be testing the processes from the functional side and what are the other configurations are required that we will do the actual CIG configurations. Okay, the same configurations we will do. And then what are the previous programs are there for the data transaction. Suppose a master data is there in SAP system. When you are using your CA9, there is another program that we sending the master data from SAP system to Ariba. Now, when you use the CAG, the program got changed. Okay. And whereas the purchase orders and requisitions, what are the transaction documents that you are sending from Ariba to SAP system, the programs have got changed. So technically, there are a lot of changes. But from the functional point of view, for functional point of view, we will configure the CAG as usual. We will do our configuration settings as usual for the CAG, and we make our connections. And there they will change the programs. Okay. So there is a document from the SAP. What are the migrating from CA9 to CAG? What you need, what you are supposed to do. So maybe if we need, maybe we will take 1 or 2 sessions, and I will be walking you through what are the migration side, what are the things we are supposed to do, what kind of testing we are supposed to do. Okay. Uh, any questions?
Yeah, so like you told about the configuration and technical part. So means as I am as a functional consultant. So means on your training you give us the all configuration setting. Means like I know about the SPRO, but in this Ariba, how the configuration is done or how to connect with this thing, and the what is the job role for as a Ariba consultant, that I want to know, that I not clear till now.
Okay, so making you understand, right? So you are coming from SAP MM background, right? Okay.
Yes, yes.
So what you would do, you configure the system as per your end user requirement, right? In
Right.
SAP SPRO settings. Similarly, in the
Hmm.
Ariba also, we have few administrative settings that we configure. As I told you, right? Suppose if you take a sourcing process, okay, in the sourcing process, they might need some approvals and they might need some tasks. How we were configuring the templates on the back end from the end user point of view, what he wants to do, and you make the system according to him. Okay. So there is a requisition, purchase requisition, and they need some approval chain. So you will be configuring the approval chains. Okay. And as part of the standard, right, you need the master data. So you need master data in the Ariba to do your transaction. So how the master data is coming from SAP system to Ariba system. So you need to configure few settings to receive the data, right? Similarly, all these settings we will do. That is what the consultant would do. Okay, the functional consultant, what he will do, he will build the system, he will test the system. Okay. If any in the support environment, if any issues are coming, what is the expected behavior and what a consultant is supposed to do is right. If the expected behavior is not happening, then he will find where is the issue and how to resolve the issue, and he will resolve the issue and make the system perfect for the end user. Suppose some enhancement is required and the current process, suppose there are 3 approvals and you want to have a 4th approval. So that is what. So changing the existing functionality in the sense some extra requirement is there and how you will meet that requirement. This is what the functional persons would do. Similarly, in the Ariba also, you will continue doing the same configurations in the Ariba side. Okay. Suppose in the contract, right, you want to create a contract and you want to do amendment. When you do the amendment, you don't need all the approvals while you are doing a fresh contract. Okay. All these things. Suppose if you want to control few of the users, suppose the users in China, they should not see the contracts in the contracts in India. So this is not in SAP environment, the GRC team or security team will take care of it. But in Ariba side, our functional consultants will take care of the securities also. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Hope I
So
answered your
like
question.
supplier onboarding and those sort of things that we don't have to do. That is doing by user, and just we
Yes,
are
yes.
in.
Correct, correct. Go ahead, go ahead. Ask, complete your question. No
Yeah,
problem.
yeah. I'm asking you like supplier onboarding or contract if any glitches or anything, any risk is there. So we don't have to monitor that part done by user. As a consultant,
Okay.
we have to solve their issue. Like if there is no, they don't have to onboard or there is any like any security compliance issue for the contract as in supplier.
Correct.
That sort of work we have to do.
Exactly, exactly. So initially, see, you just think in the same SAP point of view. You are doing your settings to create a purchase requisitions. You are doing your document types. You are creating your release
Right,
strategies. You
right.
set up your master data. So end user, what they do the operations things. They create the documents. If they are having any issues, they will reach the support team. Initial while implementing, right? So while implementing, what we will do, we will give the setup so that the user can create a contract, right?
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
that is the kind of configurations we will be doing. Okay.
Okay, okay, okay. So we can relate with like means within two
Exactly,
months,
exactly. All
like
the
how like a full configuration and as a SAP Ariba consultant, how it relate with to Ariba. So could you give any clear picture on that?
exactly. See, what are the processes you are doing, right? Your purchase requisition to invoicing. The same process we are doing in Ariba. So to do the processes, what are the configuration is required? What is the configuration you need to make so that the end users can do all these things?
Okay, okay. Yes, for
Okay.
configuration part means I know means I am clear about the process, all those like P2P and S2C, but like in Ariba, how to do the configuration and how it comes means that I'm little bit confused, like how
That is
it
that
will
is
be
where
going
we
to
are giving
proceed.
the that is where we are giving the training and we will be showing that what kind of configurations you need to do, right? Okay.
Okay, okay, okay.
So in the
Yes,
training
yes.
part, we
Okay.
will clearly show like suppose what is the cycle, how to execute a cycle. Suppose anyways you need to know the business process, right? So what is the RFI, what is RFP, what is RFQ, how to
Mhm.
run a RFQ from end to end. Okay. So what are the configurations you need to make and how those things you need to do. So we do the configuration, we will test it as per the customer's requirement.
Okay, this
Okay.
is totally different server, not like SPRO. This is totally different where configuration done in.
No, this is completely cloud. That is what when we get into the Ariba, right, all your doubts will be resolved.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
All your ambiguity will be cleared. Okay. Yeah. So coming to the
Yeah,
course content, I think. Sorry.
Ashok here. Small question. Here,
Yeah.
purchase order we is not created in Ariba. That's what at that time I missed some of your voice actually. It is
No,
only
that is
created
the
in
supply
SAP.
chain collaboration. For direct procurement, right? For direct procurement for MRP related, once you run the MRP, the purchase requisitions gets created in your SAP system, and that purchase requisition turned into purchase order in the ECC system or S4 system itself. So once that purchase order is created, how you are sending to the supplier through Ariba network. So that is the direct procurement. Suppose if a subcontracting PO is created, a consignment PO is created, or the inventory levels, all these things we will be seeing in the supply chain collaboration. For indirect procurement, the purchase order will be created in Ariba system, and direct procurement, the purchase order created in the SAP system. But the supplier can able to see both the purchase orders while he log in as a supplier through the Ariba network.
Okay. So yeah,
Okay,
got it. So it will be like similar thing, but direct it will be in SAP, indirect it will be in supply chain. Sorry,
correct,
Ariba.
correct. Ariba, exactly, exactly. Yes. Okay. So we will touch base on the few of the agile process methodologies as well, based on maybe one or two sessions. We will be discussing about the project management also, how the implementation project works, and how the support project works. So being a support consultant, so what kind of issues you might be getting, maybe some example issues, and how to create a Ariba service request. Okay, how to create a Ariba SR service request. Okay, all those things we will be explaining in the due course, like in the course. Okay, how to create the SRs and all. Okay, so this is the content that we would be delivered during your training. Okay, any doubts or any other questions you have related to content or related to these things? And anyways, to groom your career as a SAP Ariba consultant, we will tell you like how the interviews will happen, what kind of questions would come, and what the people would stress more on the Ariba side. Okay, which area they will stress more. All these things we will be explaining in the training. So any questions or are we good? Sorry, I can't hear you properly. Maybe you can type your question in the chat box so that I can answer.
Right now, hello, hello.
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you. Just yeah. Yeah, yeah, I can
Yeah.
hear you.
After complete your training, okay, how many year experience in my resume? Actually, I am
Yeah, with this kind of training, you can market yourself with 3 to 5 years of experience. 3 to 5. Hello. Yes, yes, you can manage it. That is the tips we would be telling, right? How you in the training course we will tell you like how to manage and how the issues you can resolve. What is the thing? So automatically you will get the confidence at the end of the course. That I can assure you. If you practice properly, if you follow the sessions properly, then all 100% you can tackle the issues and handle the and you can manage your job. Okay. Sorry, I cannot. I barely. Your voice is very feeble. Can you type it? Question. Someone has asked the question. Can position as implementation experience? Yes, obviously. Training system setup would be handled by Subbu. Subbu can answer this question like training system setup. Okay. Subbu will send you the details once you confirm the course thing. Then he would be sending the training system. You just need an internet access. That's it. You don't need to install anything to access the SAP portal. Duration would be 45 days. Okay, to cover all the course content, right? Yes, we will be teaching the integrations. That is what I'm telling, right? So how the integrations, we will show the setup of integration. Okay. It's like everyday course, weekdays, like maybe Sunday we might be taking off, but we will see once we set up the batch, right? And then we can see But majority we will be going like maybe morning 9 to 10 or 10 to 11 based on the timings we will see in the morning first up. It's like every day. If someone is interested on the only weekends, just let me know or me or Subbu so that we can plan accordingly. So I hope I answered your questions, right? Any other questions?
Like as a consultant, we need to know both the like upstream, downstream, both the thing we need to know, or we, if you can deliver like yes, I am a for supplier management or I am for operational activity. So or we need to know all the scenario.
Yeah. So Suman, the goal, right? What is the goal he raised? We don't know. Suppose if looking for a job change, we don't know. Okay. Can you hear me? Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So the goal of this training is we were giving the Ariba end-to-end training so that when you were shifting your job, if you limit yourself, suppose on a only upstream side, then the positions may not be more. Or if you limit yourself on the buying and invoice side, there may not be more positions. But how the companies are looking for Ariba consultant is right. They want to look for a candidate who is having the complete knowledge in Ariba. But you might be having a good knowledge on more knowledge on upstream or downstream. Okay, that's secondary. But the companies would look for a person who can handle all the areas, like upstream side and downstream. But uh, that is what the goal of this training. So if you go only for upstream training, I don't know maybe how much useful that is, because you are limiting yourself with only upstream, and once you post your resume, then the calls may be also less, right?
Okay, okay. And system setup is
So
also in mobile also, or we have to lap, because you can say that you can do anywhere like in a cloud.
yes.
So we can do in mobile also or like in system.
No, no, actually, laptop would be better. Mobile, if you do right again, that is another mobile access setup and everything is required. That is for trainings, demo sessions. We won't get the mobile versions.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So it's only a portal, right? You just need a link and you just need your user ID and password, and then you will do all the configurations there itself. So you have to see the course in such a way that right, you are investing some time and you are investing some money, and end of this, you have to upgrade. Like suppose with a 40% or 50% hike on your current CTC. That is what the goal. So once you learn the course, then you have to turn yourself into a Ariba consultant with 3 to 5 years of experience and grab the market opportunity currently. So now the current market is very good, right? Everyone knows it. So you can grab that market. Okay. Any questions? Okay, let me see. Any practice project? Um, I don't think practice projects in the sense we cannot share the live project systems, right? It could be because of the data privacy, and also we cannot go with that. But we will see like how while you are doing the practice, I will give some assignments, and based on that you can do the practice. But we will be showing like how the business requirements is coming, what kind of configurations you are doing. And there is a question for the scope of SAP MM and Ariba profile. As I told, right, it's on demand, I can say. Okay. Any other questions?
Hi, Ashok.
Yeah.
You are cover APIs also.
See, APIs, as I told, right, at the point of integration, then we will be teaching you like with the SAP, with Ariba to non-SAP systems. Okay, how we are communicating, then we will do. But typically, I won't know the technical things of API. Okay, so for a functional consultant, you should know like how the things would be happening. Okay, in the middleware system, like how the APIs can be, how the API polling can happen. So what is the frequency? All those things from a functional point of view, I will be explaining you during the integration points.
Thank you, Ashok. I wanted that only. I am not technical.
Yeah, yeah, that's what how we can poll that, how the frequencies and all that we will be explaining those in the integration setup.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. I think we are good. If you have any questions, then just try to reach post Subbu, and then we can see if the uh, course commencement and all. Okay. Subbu, we are good, right? Yeah. So thank you and have a nice holiday Sunday.
One thing, could you please once show the your system, like network system and the configuration setup, means server access? Could you please once show us?
Currently, I don't have. Maybe we can plan for a session in this week. Once you confirm this one, then maybe we can show the how Ariba looks like and what kind of things we would be dealing and all.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hi, Ashok.
yeah,
Sorry to interrupt you again.
no
I miss
problem,
your
no problem.
intro. Can you please brief me about yourself? Sorry to ask you. I just miss it. That's why.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. So, myself, Ashok, I have total more than 15 years of experience into the SAP domain. I worked on the SAP implementations, S4 implementations, and as well as Ariba. So Ariba full suite integrations like sourcing, contracts, and then buying and invoice automations, and then Ariba supply chain collaboration and more on the CAG integration. Okay, so I got more than 15 years of experience into this.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Can we require any certification, individual certification like sourcing, contract, whatever in downstream? Hello, am I audible?
See, it all depends upon the individual. Yeah, you are audible. It all depends upon the individual, right? So if you want to make a certified, impression on you, then you can go for the certification. Okay. But it's a bit expensive, right? You need to see for the sponsors. Maybe you can go with your company site. Okay. But if you have certification means the profile, the picking of the profile will be more. I think the probability of picking of your profile for entry will be more. Okay.
Yes.
But it is not 100% necessary.
Uh, Sorry to interrupt again. Like one question and certification means after completing this session, we can able to give the exam, right?
Let me
Certification.
make you clear. The goal of this course is not to for the certification oriented. Okay. Certification oriented course is something different because we cannot expect all the certification questions and all these things. But 60% of the things you can attempt with this knowledge of this course. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I'm just
So
telling, honestly.
after finishing this course like 45 days, we are means we can able to give the interview, or like as a we can prove 2 3, like you said, like 3 to 4 or 5 years of experience. I can show that yes, I have worked on that, and we can able to give the interview because it's
Exactly.
totally different platform. So that's why I'm asking again and again this thing.
You won't feel it as a different platform or environment once you complete the course, because already you have the SAP MM experience, right? So it's just only the
Yes.
shifting of the tool, lift and shift kind of thing. So you will be getting 100% confidence, that I can assure you. And if you practice it, if you listen the classes carefully, then I can assure you. Okay? And we will be
Interview
giving some kind
preparation
of,
also you provide? Interview
yes.
preparation?
The
Okay.
interview preparation, if you have personally request, then I will go for that. But in the training course, right, we will explain you. Yeah, this is the interview questions. That the interview questions would come like this. I will tell in this way. But mock interviews, we'll see. If you are really interested, then I will spend 1 or 2 hours for you, and then I will take the mock interviews.
Okay, okay. Sure, sure. Thank you.
Okay, I think we are done. If anyone is not having questions, then we can call the day. Okay. Thank you, Subbu. You can close the meeting.
Thank you.